Isaiah, the 29th chapter and the 13th verse. A'udhu biyahwala minash shaitanir rajim bishammihi ala rahman wa kharakum. Mi dua ha Adonai amar ya on ze om yangu shuna bifehum wa bisafahum yakbuduna liani rak yarhukuna lebeihum rahuk minani wa yirahum lamadli hamitzwa min enosh. Wherefore Yahweh has said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear towards me is taught by the precepts of men. That is our problem today in the house of Israel. We have left the ordinance and the precepts and the codes of wisdom that were given to us by Yahweh himself, and we have replaced them with the ordinances and the precepts and laws of man. And we know that the problem with that code of wisdom is that it is directed in sensual pleasure and money. So he says, Midua ha'adonai amar ya'on ze'om yangushuna bifehum wa bisafahum yakbuduna li'ani rak yarhukuna leveihum rahuk minani. So he tells us here that there is a distancing, a becoming remote from him that has taken place. Even though we're talking good and we know exactly what to say and how to say it to sound like we are on point and to sound like we are moving in the direction of his command. But the scripture tells us that our understanding, our resolution, our thinking, the determination of our will and our moral character, even our conscience and our appetites, passions and emotions have become remote from Yahweh Allah. Our appetites and the passions of our heart have become far removed from the pleasure and the command of Yahweh Allah. And so we see that the house of Israel, like our history teaches us, has become a complete and a perfect hypocrite. Like the Quran says, a propped up piece of wood. And this is the state of our community. And this is the reason for the calamity that we are experiencing as a national group. Because we have become perfect hypocrites. We say what we do not. We teach from our own twisted passions and appetites, having a conscience that is seared with a hot iron. The house of Israel as a whole does not give a damn about the commandment of Yahweh Allah, as they have thrown it behind their back, but continue to profess that which they are not guilty of carrying out. And so it is no wonder when we look into the mirror of the scriptures, we see the reality of ourselves even today. Ezekiel 22:9 says, Fikum anoshrak lishfakdam. In you are talebearers and scandalmongers that travel about as informers, slandering and scandalmongering in order to shed blood. وَفِيكُمْ يَأْكُلُونَ أَلَّ خَخَارٍ Tawakum yasahunna zamma. And in you they eat upon the high mountain shrines. Back to that secret society that is present in the midst of Israel. Tawakum. He says, Yasuhuna Zama. And so you practice and you prepare and you dress and you plan and you carry out and execute lewdness and mischief and wickedness of plan and purpose, evil devices and incest, licentiousness and adultery, idolatry and harlotry, and every type of uncast and unclean thought. It is no wonder he says, Fikum galahu abikum urwa. And in you are those who have discovered. You've come to find out, it's become manifest now. It has been shown forth and disclosed. The secrets of our father's shame and nudity and improper behavior and dishonor. It has been discovered. And then he also says, Auna hunadak lituma. And so we've also busied ourselves and occupied ourselves and mishandled the woman who was separated for filthiness and immorality. And because of ceremonial uncleanness, we have occupied ourselves and forced ourselves upon that one who's been defiled and polluted ethically and religiously. The woman who is a profaner of Yahweh Allah's name, we busied ourselves with this while we proclaim and profess to know Yahweh Allah and be following his law. And if that wasn't enough, we yet and still draw close to Yahweh Allah with our mouths. While the scripture says, Wa'ishun al-sato ibara bishakanhu isha. So while we come close with our mouths, we still are committing and executing and fashioning and putting in order and acting with effect and maintaining the use of abomination and the cause of sorrow with our neighbor's wife. Wa ukra honish zamatu makala. And another man plans with a mischievous purpose to commit the heinous crime of defiling his daughter-in-law with licentious and heinous incestuous activity. Wa ukrahonish ona akotahu batabihu. And yet another man humbles and afflicts his own sister, the daughter of his father. He mishandles his own sister and causes her to be brought low and humbled through his wickedness. And the list goes on and on and on. And these are the things that are happening in the house of Israel. And this is why everybody is confused about the holiday, and everybody is confused about the marriage, and everybody is confused about the law, and nobody knows the proper course to take, and nobody has proper instructions to give, because while we profess with our mouth, our hands and our sensual desires that have become remote from the will and pleasure of Yahweh Allah are running amok. And we're busting hell wide open. And the judgment is coming for this. And Yahweh Allah's hand is yet stretched forth. And his wrath is unsatisfied. And so why is his wrath unsatisfied with all of this catastrophic destruction that we have seen just in 1 year? And it is because of the Zama, as the scripture describes and depicts for us. It is because of the licentious behavior of Israel. And for those who don't know what licentious means, it comes from the Latin word licentia, which means freedom. We've taken a democratic approach to the law. And we have become promiscuous and unprincipled in sexual matters. We have become debauched and degenerate, salacious and immoral, decadent and wanton, depraved and profligate, impure, sinful, wicked, and corrupt, full of our libertine and lustful, lecherous, indecent, lascivious activity, libidinous, lewd and promiscuous, uncaste, fleshly and carnal. We've become a smutty, filthy, horny, raunchy, perverted, naughty nation of hypocrites. And this is why we see his wrath, and this is why his hand is still outstretched. Because we proclaim with our mouths to be holy and to be righteous. But in all actuality, 2/3 of this house has been given over into the lewd activities of the flesh and have no intention of repenting. And Yahweh Allah has no intention of letting us escape without being judged and punished in due measure.